Hello everyone, I am Dr. Naina Singh, Assistant Professor Sociology. Today I am over here to acquaint you with the topic social process. So let's begin. Talking about social process, it is a sort of interaction or communication among the societal members. Interaction between individuals and groups occur in the form of social process. Social processes refer to the forms of social interaction that occur again and again. Social interactions are reciprocal relationships which not only influence the interacting individuals but also the quality of relationships. Much of the thinking about society is in terms of the social or societal relationship. One thinks of the relationship between father and son, employer and employee, leader and the follower, merchant and the customer, or of the relationship between friends, between enemies, between children, etc. Such relationships are among the most obvious features of society, and consequently it seems an elaboration of the obvious to inquire into their nature. Social relationship represents fundamental ways of organizing social data, information, or in short one can say a society may be viewed, if one wishes, as a system of relationships or a system of reciprocal relationships. In analyzing social relationship, one soon finds them more complicated than they first appear. They involve reciprocal obligations, reciprocal statuses, reciprocal ends and means between two or more actors or individuals in mutual contact. They refer to form or pattern of interaction between individuals or groups. Any society contains hundreds and perhaps thousands of socially defined relationships. The immediate family alone may contain as many as 15 types of relationships. How many relationships a society utilizes is simply a matter of how many criteria it takes into account in defining behavior between individual or groups. The 15 relationships of the immediate family rest on total 3 criteria, that is age, sex and generation. Outside the family, an infinite number of criteria may be utilized, so there is no limit to the number of possible relationships in the society. With social interaction is actually based upon primary and secondary groups or interaction. For this reason, the social relationships have been classified and discussed in the terms of kinds of interaction that they manifest. The most important kind of interaction singled out for consideration here are, suppose, conflict, competition, cooperation, assimilation, integration, disintegration, so on and so forth. There are certain definitions of social interaction. According to sociologist Gillen and Gillen, by social interaction we refer to the social relationship of all sorts in functions. It could be dynamic relationship of all kinds, whether such relationship exists between individual and individual, or between group and group, or group and individual, as the case may be. Social interaction may be then be defined as the dynamic interplay of forces in which contact between persons and group result in the modifications of the attitudes and behavior of the participants or people as per the situations. There are two basic conditions of social interactions. One is the social contact and second is communication. Now, when you talk about the social context, we talk about communication or social interaction. It could be symbolic, it could be verbal, it could be through symbols, it could be through gestures. So, in the words of Gillen and Gillen, social contact is the first phase of interaction. Social contexts are always established through the medium of someone causes sense organ, or you can say it is a cognitive action. an object can be perceived by the sense organ only when that object causes communication with that sense organ. Hence, the means of communication are essential adjuncts of social contact. Communication may be the form of direct person to person, or it may take place through some medium of long range contact such as telephone, telegraph, television, or any modern technical gadgets. Social interaction by definition involves contact. Contact necessarily requires a material or a sensory medium. It need not, of course, require the impingement of body directly upon one another, but it does require the occurrence of direct one or indirect sensory stimulation between the interacting parties. The material medium, however, is only a necessary, not a sufficient basis of contact. Individuals can be in material contact without being in social contact. Nowadays, we have our modern gadgets for that. For example, two tribes living on opposite sides of the swamp and having nothing to do with each other may nevertheless be bitten by the mosquitoes that continually carry malaria from one tribe to another. It is not merely physical contact that counts, but meaningful or symbolic contact is also required. Goodwill may be expressed by either handshake or spoken phrase, a letter, or even a simple smile. Added to the sensory stimulus is a meaningful stimulus. Other than this, we can say a dead man's will is an indirect and tenuous material link with his heirs, but its physical character is far less important than its meaning. Until material or sensory contact acquires meaning for the subjective selves of the persons concerned, so it is not social in human senses. The social behavior of human beings consists of acquired responses to the meaningful responses of others, which in turn makes a social action. Human interaction in other way we can say is a communicative interaction among individuals or groups. The social behavior of human beings consists of acquired responses to the meaningful responses of others in turn. So, human interaction in other words is a communicative interaction then. The essential feature of communication is that one person infers from the behavior of another, whether speech, whether gesture or postures. What idea or feeling the other person is trying to convey, he then reacts not to the behavior as such, but to the inferred idea or feeling also. The other person then reacts to his response in the terms of that particular idea or feeling, the meaning behind it. For example, when a girl receives flowers, she looks at them and smells them, but her main interest is in the person who sent them and why. Were they sent to end a quarrel, or to mark an anniversary, to cement a promise, to say farewell, or to brighten an illness? So, there are many meanings when you say send flowers to someone. Unless she can answer such question, she will feel a loss, not knowing what to do. So, it is the meanings behind the behavior that are involved in the system of mutual expectations or obligations previously described as being present in the interacting situation or situations. It should now be clear that a significant classification of these kinds of interaction must keep in view the meaningful character of social contact. So, talking more about social processes, these two words called social and process have a different etymologies and so have different meanings. The word social has a variety of situations and shades of meaning when it is employed. Sometimes the term may be used to describe instinctual changes that lead to the collective action, such as social animals and insects. It can also refer to human behavior that is deemed to be beneficial as opposed to a social behavior. Other times it refers to certain similar social reactions to a stimulus, such as in the crowd behavior or adaptive behavior based on the interaction of processes learned through communication, interaction, etc. So, according to sociology, the word social refers to the ability of humans to develop sufficiently comparable activity patterns to allow for reciprocal behavior or responses. Now, let us talk about the term process. The term process simply refers to a sequence of steps taken to accomplish a specific goal, motive or objective, or the facts of going on or being carried out, progress, course, etc. Some of the sociologists concentrated on the etymological meaning of the word progress or advance to explain social process. So, here without committing to the normative nature of the behavior or occurrences, common use highlights the dynamic shifting qualities of social processes. Also implied is the regularity, continuity and repetition of the events also signifies social processes. All sociological investigations are found on the social processes. Hence, we can say the study and the analysis of social interactions and social processes serves as the foundation for sociological studies. Now, let us talk about the different shapes of the social processes. There are, as per sociologists, there are 4 different distinct shapes of social process. First is intrapersonal interaction between the parts of a personality, then person to person. Third is person to group or group to person, and the last one is group to group. Same way, there are certain components of social processes. The following crucial components included in social processes are sequence of the events, repetition of the events, relationship between the events, continuity of the events and special social results as per the events. Talking about the meaning of social process, it refers to the forms or various forms of interaction that occur repeatedly in our social action. By social processes, we mean those ways in which individuals and groups interact with each other and establish social relationships, whether primary relationships or secondary relationships. So, there are various forms of social interaction such as coordination, cooperation, conflict, accommodation, integration, disintegration, etc. Let us ponder on the definition of social processes. Social process is the manner in which relationship of the members of a group, once brought together, acquire a distinctive character. As per Ginsberg, social processes means the various modes of interaction between the individuals or the groups, including cooperation and conflict, social differentiation and integration, development, arrest or decay. That means Ginsberg here says it could be a positive social action or a negative social action. As per Horton and Hunt, the term social process refers to the repetitive forms of behavior or behaviors which are commonly found in social life. Now, talking about the types of social processes, there are 2 types of social processes. One is associative, which links and is a positive action. These social processes also maintain solidarity and benefit the society in long term, whether you are in primary associative process or in the secondary group associative process. So, the different categories of social processes under the associative process are cooperation, coordination, accommodation, assimilation, acculturation, it could be adjustment, it could be integration finally. The other part talking about the negative or the disjunctive social process, you can say it is the disassociative or disjunctive process where it talks about conflicts, quarrels, difference in opinion, competition, disintegration, contravention or differentiation. But both the associative process or disassociative process are very important for society. Disassociative process also brings a positive and a negative change, though like when you talk about conflicts, when you talk about revolutions, they definitely bring a social change in the society. So, whether it is social interaction in the form of social process, positive or negative, it brings a change in a society and continues the society as whole. So, this is all for social process. We will be connected in our next lecture in detailed study of associative and disassociative process. Thank you.